Good morning, Barry Bryson here. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. We're in Mark chapter 14, and we're going to finish up the chapter today as Peter denies Jesus. Peter's there in the courtyard at Caiaphas' house, warming himself by the fire. He's seeing what's happening. He's seeing the way they're humiliating and beating Jesus. A detail that I left out yesterday that I want to mention before we move on. When Caiaphas says, "Are you the Son of God? Um, um, are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed One? Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?" We said yesterday that claiming to be Christ was not the thing that would have been a capital offense, but claiming to be the Son of God, and that not everybody believed the Christ to be the Son of God, and that Caiaphas, in phrasing this question, clearly communicates that he knows what Jesus is claiming about himself. But he says, "Blessed One." He won't say God's name. Of course, they wouldn't. No Jew would have, and wouldn't have for centuries. They would have said, Adonai. They would have said Lord, or they would have said Blessed One, or they would have said Heaven. They would not have said God's name. It was too sacred. But Jesus answers by saying, "I am." And you can't say "I am" without saying God's name, or not something very close to it. I am. It's a wonderful moment. I wish I had done a better job communicating it to you yesterday. Anyway, so Peter sees all this and sees them punching him with their fists in the face and slapping him in the face and humiliating him. Prophesy, who hit you? And this is what happens. Peter was below in the courtyard. One of the servant girls, one of the high priests came. And Peter, warming himself, and seeing Peter warming himself, she looked at him and said, "You too were with Jesus the Nazarene." And he denied it, saying, "I neither know nor understand what you're talking about." And he went out into the porch. And the maid saw him and began once more to say to the bystanders, "This is one of them." And again he was denying it. And after a little while, the bystanders were saying again to Peter, "Surely you are one of them. You're a Galilean too." And he began to curse and swear, "I do not know this fellow you are talking about." And immediately the cock crowed a second time, and Peter remembered how Jesus had made a remark to him, "Before a cock crows twice, you will deny me 3 times." And he began to weep. Now, Jesus isn't necessarily upstairs, but up above. And so there's the house, there are steps down to the courtyard, and then outside the wall, there would have been a portico, a porch. And let's not forget, Peter tried to chop off Malchus's ear. Well, no, he tried to split Malchus's head in two. Peter attempted murder that night, and Jesus healed the ear back. And so there's a lot of reasons why Peter would be afraid to be there, but he is there because he has to be where Jesus is. And let's give him credit for following. The pull of Jesus is stronger than his fear, but it's not so strong that he can admit who he is. And the fact that he's a Galilean is evident to everybody. It doesn't take long for you to know me, for you to know that I'm not from around here. You know, just ways of saying things and ways of looking at the world, and it doesn't take long for my accent from my youth to come back to the surface in a word or a phrase here or there. And you know that I'm from the Ohio Valley. Not just that I'm from West Virginia, but that I'm from the Ohio Valley. They knew he was a Galilean. Why would he be there if he weren't connected in some way to Jesus? So 3 times he has to deny it. And the 3rd time it says he cussed. He began to curse and swear. He cussed. He used all the bad words he knew. And as a fisherman, he probably knew plenty. He used the bad words that he knew to say that he... Jesus is there, and Luke tells us that their eyes meet. And from what we know between Mark and Luke is that he's been cussing when their eyes meet. If they're close enough for their eyes to meet, and if he's screaming and swearing, what was more painful to Jesus? The slap in the face that he was getting from the temple guard, or to hear the man who confessed his name, the man at Caesarea Philippi, the man who said, "Master, to whom shall we go?" To hear him cuss and swear, to say, I don't know him. And I can't imagine because I imagine it all the time. I'm crushed by imagining what it was like for their eyes to meet, as Luke 23 tells us their eyes do in this moment. And Peter goes out and weeps bitterly. Of course he does. Of course he does. How could this not crush you for the rest of your life? I don't doubt that we know Paul confesses to us so many times in his letters about remembering what he did to Christians. I can't forget what that was. I can't forget what I'm capable of, how violent I was, how hateful I was. And it reminds me of grace. Well, Peter himself had this moment. He had this moment where he betrayed Jesus, and their eyes met. And I know that informed his preaching for the rest of his life. And was a transformative moment from this moment on with him. Well, thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes. We'll pick up with chapter 15 next time. Thank you for joining me.